The BMW M4, this car right here. As some of you know, I really like this car. It's my personal car and I absolutely love it, as can be seen from these comments. Anyways, today I'll be spreading my love of the car to you with my 5 favorite things about owning this car. Now, this is the full ownership experience. I've had the car for going on a year now, and these are all the things I absolutely love about owning it, and maybe why you should own one yourself. I've already made a full video on why this is the best sports car you can buy in today's economy, but today I'm not going to be talking about value for money. I'll be talking about the 5 things that are the best. So let's start with number 1, and that has to be the looks. We can see how nice it looks by all these flies who want to be on the car, so they clearly love it, even though flies go towards we know what. But anyways, we'll just pretend they're fans. In my opinion, this is one of the best looking BMW and M cars ever made. It's just so aggressive. It just looks amazing. From the front, the headlights, I know these are the pre-facelift ones, the newer ones look even more aggressive, but it just looks angry. Being the 4 Series shape and the M4 with the bigger body arches and all that, it looks aggressive. It looks like a sports car should. I know it's no supercar, but you'd think it's a sports car if you saw it on the street. And later on in the video, I'll go over the duality of this car, how it can be 2 different things. It's literally bipolar. On one side, this one, it looks like a street racer's wet dream. The wheels, the shape, the color, the carbon bits all over it. It looks like what a boy racer wants. But on the complete other end, if this was just a white M4, completely stock, standard wheels, it looked like something a businessman is going to the office and back in, just an expensive BMW. But I don't think a businessman will be driving a car wrapped like this, with a full exhaust on it, with a tune, with the wheel. I don't think a businessman will do that, unless, you know, he's like 20 years old. Point number 2, the duality of the drive. Like I just said, this car has got 2 complete different personalities. In one sense, it's a comfortable daily driver that anyone could drive to and from to work or to school or wherever you're going. On the other end, it's a track monster that literally wants to rip your head off. The way I would describe it, it's like a trained German Shepherd. If you want it to sit and not make a peep, it can. If you want it to absolutely maul the living hell out of its target, it can do that also. And that's probably the best way to describe this car. So a M4 as a daily driver that's comfortable and easy, and a trained attack dog, like I said, it's trained. It actually can be. Now I'm just in comfort mode, I'm on the freeway, it's pretty comfortable. No, it's not no 5 Series or 7 Series, of course, but it's still fairly comfortable. I'm just cruising here on the freeway. It's nice and comfortable. I've got everything in the comfort settings, and you could daily this. You definitely could. And I mean, I know there's some people out there that will never even put this car ever in Sports Plus. They'd always just be cruising around in it. And I mean, you can do that if you want to. The flip of a switch, it just becomes a crazy beast of its own. So as we turn here onto a straight, I'll press this magic M2 button, and well, spinning those wheels and absolutely flying. It just changes character completely. It's honestly like the car has got like bipolar disorder. Just 1 second it's doing one thing, and then another it's doing the complete opposite. Like it just snaps like that, literally a flick of a switch. So as you can see now, we're just in complete comfort mode, just cruising. Nothing special, nice and smooth. Like it's not jagged, it's not rough, it's nothing like that. It's just an easy cruiser. But the second you press this button, and we're in sports mode now, you downshift yourself, go down to an appropriate gear for your liking. Oh, this guy just wants to cut in front of me. There we go. And watch this. Just like that, you can get your car impounded in a fraction of a second. It's ridiculous. And I don't need to show you sideways, because I'm sure you can understand what 500 something horsepower rear-wheel drive car can do in a corner. And it's very scary, to be honest. I know it's no V8 or no drag-built race car, but that's not what it's trying to be. It's trying to be the best of both worlds, and it's very close to that. Obviously, it's not the most comfortable daily, and it's not the best sports car on the road, performance-wise, but it does both amazingly. And I mean, the performance is more than you'll ever need, especially in an Australian street. We don't have 1500 horsepower Corvettes and GTRs driving around, often at least. So it's not like you need crazy power. And daily ability, yes, our roads sometimes aren't the best. Take note, government, please. But for average driving, it's perfectly fine. And for the boys, I have to do one pull with traction fully off. In my tuned M4, it will just spin the tyres ridiculously, and I've got to hold on for dear life with one hand, but that's okay. You guys want it, you guys will get it. So let's give it one more shot for this final segment. Point number 3, the fuel consumption. I already know the views are going to drop at this point because all my young viewers don't care about fuel consumption. The daily drive a Hellcat or an Aventador, only getting 200 kilometers on a full tank. But as a realistic car owner, it does matter. Even if it's just a weekender, you still want to not spend a couple $100 every weekend when you drive the car. Being an M car, I'm not going to claim it's fuel efficient, but when you compare it to other sports cars, it is quite fuel efficient. The M4 has about a 60-litre fuel tank, which is just under 16 gallons. And on a full tank, they claim online, this car can get 730 kilometres on a full tank, or about 450 miles, which equates to 8.3 litres per 100 or 34 miles per gallon. Like any online average on any car, let alone a sports car, that is quite off. Let me just make a little disclaimer. This car isn't my daily driver, so it's not like I'm getting great fuel consumption sitting on the freeway for hours going to and from work. No, I only use the car to film content and stuff. And obviously when filming content, you do use more of the car than commuting to and from work. So as we speak, what am I averaging in my M4? 12.4 litres per 100. For you Americans over there, that's about 19 or 20 miles per gallon, which I know is a lot better than your Camaro SSs you have over there. And myself, I'm averaging around 550 to 600 kilometers on a full tank with my range of driving, which converts to about 370 miles. Just to put in a bit of comparison for my younger viewers who don't know too much about that, I used to have an A45, which had 2 less cylinders and 1 less turbo, a 4-cylinder single turbo. That thing was getting the same fuel consumption as a daily as this car. Maybe I was driving more aggressive, I don't know, but as a daily, I was averaging around 12 litres per 100. On the A45. To put it in some more comparison for you, I recently drove a C63 507 edition, you know, the 6.3 naturally aspirated V8. That car on average, mainly, you know, commuting driving, obviously a bit of fun here and there, I think I was getting around 17 litres per 100. Any V8 Australian or American muscle car, it's just going to get even worse. So it's really good for what it is. I know people with Australian modified muscle cars, they're averaging 23 litres per 100 cruising around. Before we start the next segment, I've got a little mini rant, and I don't want to sound entitled or holier than thou or special in any way. Just I want to get your opinions on this one. I don't know if it's an Australia thing, a worldwide thing, a content creation thing. I really don't know. But it's happened a few times, and this time I don't get it. Let me explain the situation. So I'm in this car park in the absolute corner of it. Let me show you the car park. Keep in mind, it's 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, so not a lot of people out here. There's probably about 50 spots that are free. I won't show his number plate, but I had my tripod right there and I was parked here. He came up to me, beeped me and told me to move the tripod. I get it, my tripod's in a car space. It shouldn't be, it is a car space. But I asked him nicely, is it all right if I just leave it there and keep filming? I'm just here in the corner. If you could just park at any of these other spots, I'm just doing my job. His words were to me, move the tripod, mate, you don't own the car park. So I don't really understand that when there's a heap of empty spots. I don't know if it's because of the car, because of the videos, because of what. But anyways, it doesn't ruin the mood. We keep going and let's get into the next segment. Point 4, how easy BMWs and the M4 are to modify. Now, truth be told, you don't really need to modify this car. It's already very fast. Mine stock ran an 11.7 on the quarter mile. For a stock car on road wheels, it's pretty good. And they kick out like a donkey. They just want to slide in stock tune, stock performance, stock everything. But everyone wants a little bit more. And if you want a little bit more in this car, it's not too hard to do. So the first and most easy one you can do is intakes. Now I have got cheap intakes. I've already made a full YouTube on it. It was about $300-400 for these intakes. It changes the sound. Performance isn't the best because these aren't professional intakes, but if you get front mount intakes that sit inside of there, or you get proper inventory intakes or whatever, you can add about 20 horsepower to the vehicle. The second mod, which most BMW owners will do, is a downpipe, a catless one. Currently there's a big cat in there which restricts a lot of the airflow and the gases and all that. If you get a catless one, well, it gets rid of that completely and changes the sound completely. Talking about sound, the next thing you might do is an exhaust. Now I've got the M Performance on there, $10,000 from factory. Not really cost effective, but the best sound mod that everyone recommends you do is a single mid pipe. That costs about $1,200 to $2,000 and it completely changes the sound of the car. For comparison's sakes, I'll let you compare all of them at different price points. So this is what it sounds like stock. This is what it sounds like of around $2,000 to $2,500 of mods of the mid pipe and the downpipe. And this is what it sounds like with a $10,000 M Performance exhaust. Obviously, the best value there is the single mid-pipe. But anyways, what are your opinions? Which one sounded the best for the money? So all those mods will add a few horsepower here and there, but if you want a real horsepower increase, you can do a piggyback tune, which again, I've made a video on. Essentially what that is you plug this device into the car, and off your phone, you can download tunes. Now, those tunes can be stage 1, stage 2, stage 2 plus, a GTS style map based off the M4 GTS. But just like that, off your phone, you can add 50 to 150 horsepower through the internet. Now, of course, the more power you make, the more likely things are going to go wrong, and you have to do more mods to make the car more reliable, like the charge pipe and the crank hub. But generally speaking, for around $5,000, you can increase the power and torque by 20 to 30%. So with $5,000, you can make this car from going 430 horsepower to over 500 horsepower. Not to be the bad guy. And keep in mind, I love this car. But let's say something with an LS, like a Commodore. To add an increase of about 80 to 100 horsepower, well, that's not going to cost you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You'll need to do cams, headers, tune it, etc. It will be quite a bit more in the grand scheme of things. So cost and ease to modify, a lot easier. You can pretty much do most of the mods yourself. But obviously, it's probably a better idea to go to a BMW technician who knows what they're doing than you in the backyard with your friend who have worked on 2 cars in your whole life. And the final part, point 5, you never stop enjoying this car. It might sound very pretentious, but I've gotten bored in quite a few high-end cars. I've driven RS3s, obviously owned a A45, C43s, different types of budget sports cars. And yes, they're cool cars, but you get bored of them quite quickly. I find most of those cars, it's the same experience every time you put your foot down. Whereas this car, it's just, every time you do it, you don't know exactly what it's going to do. Yes, you can kind of predict it, but you never know 100% where it wants to go and what it wants to do. Even with traction fully on, it's kicking in to save it from spinning those tires. When you go in MDM mode, it's gonna start spinning them, but when you start kicking out, it's gonna stop you. When you turn it off fully, well, it's a scary experience. For example, the other day I had traction fully off and I went into a dead end on a racetrack, okay? Anyways, I was gonna turn around. I wanted to give it a little kick and spin out and drive out. I thought I had a great grasp of the power of the car and the power delivery and all that, but it still surprises me to this day. So instead of doing a U-turn, kicking out a bit and continuing that way, well, I was going in circles unintentionally. Same goes if you're on a twisty road or in the canyons or something like that. With the DCT transmission, it pops through the gears so fast, but it can also stick to the ground if you want it to. As long as you can control that right foot enough not to put too much power, you won't be spinning out at all. You'll be glued to the road. Now, it's no GT3 RS the way it's on rails, but it sticks to that ground when you want it to. You just need to learn the car. So generally speaking, those are my 5 favorite things about owning this car. It's just an awesome experience all around. Now, I'll also be making a video on the 5 things I hate about owning this car, because nothing's perfect. And as much as I'm the BMW glazer, there's some things that this BMW does actually suck at. So I want to thank you for watching another Performance Nick video. I appreciate all of you tuning in every Tuesday and watching these videos, subscribing and liking. You're making my dream come true. And I know a few people have been commenting it's time to buy another car. Well, I'm getting close. I'm thinking on what to buy, whether it's a daily we modify up together or another performance car. I'm not too sure, but don't worry, I'm thinking on it. I'm working on it, all right? Let me know what else you want to see in the comments. Message me about any questions you have about owning an M4 or anything in general, and I'll see you next week.